So we're in Bethlehem, and we didn't have to go through a security checkpoint yet, so I'm really confused because apparently we were supposed to have done that, but the bus just kind of dropped us off, and like a bunch of aggressive taxi drivers showed up and like got up in our faces and wanted to give us rides, and we don't want a taxi ride, and we don't have a map, and it's kind of confusing at the moment. But I think that means we're in the West Bank because we're in Bethlehem, and I know it's in the West Bank, but it's kind of on the border, I think. I don't know. It's all really confusing. Like figuring out, like you saw the security wall on the way here, and it's in pieces. Like sections are built, sections are not, and it's all very just like disorienting. And this is kind of what it looks like. So yeah.
We need to go strange.
Strange?
Yep.
Okay. So we're at the Church of the Nativity. I guess this is built where Jesus was supposedly born. And something that's like reoccurring theme is like, this is obviously like a Crusader era type of fellow. And he's slaying a dragon. And do Christians believe in dragons? Like, is this something that's like I see it a lot in the artwork and stuff, so I don't know. Somebody fill me in. It's kind of like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, as in it's just a bunch of people like not being in line and being rude to each other to get down here. And I think down here is where we're going to see where Jesus was apparently born. But I don't know. It's a big line, so I assume that's what it is. But it's just, you know, a bunch of people not caring about each other, pushing each other around. It's great. So you can see all these people going through this little door. And I think this is a famous door. I think it mentioned it on Wikipedia, but I don't remember what it was called. And I don't know, if you want to come here and have any sort of relaxing vacation, it's not the place for you. So if you're coming here for a peaceful Jesus getaway, go someplace else. So we went through that little door there, and then bang. Massive line, like it goes on a really long way. Maybe it's not worth it. But the inside of here, even though it's being restored, looks neat. All the columns and everything are pretty amazing. And you can see that the rafters and everything are wooden. And I think those are from the 1800s. And I read on Wikipedia that if there's an earthquake of like a medium-sized magnitude, the whole building will collapse because the rafters are all rotted out. It's good to know. Okay, so like I said, the church is under construction, but you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like if you just imagine all these rafters aren't here. And the chandeliers are huge and like just kind of old and gothic looking almost. But we've been in this line way too long, and we're up to this point where there's these fellows here, and a bunch of these people have taken notes, writing a note on it, and then handing the note back to these guys and handing them money. So I don't know what that's all about, so I mean, whatever. Candles, some sort of water with a cross, and your commemorative Jesus DVD. Another group of old people with lots of fire and being a little less aggressive than they were with the Holy Church of the Sepulchre, but still seems like a hazard of some sort, right? And down there, I suppose, is where there should be a marking on the ground where Jesus was supposedly born. Okay, so we made a little bit more progress. We're down these little set of stairs, and now we're standing on another set of stairs, and this is a grotto.
It's like a sauna in here.
It's really hot, yeah. And the head clearance isn't good enough. And all of the guides from all of the tour groups just being obnoxious, pushing people around. It's amazing. So this is it, apparently, this little hole down here.
Be careful, be careful. One by one, not 5 by 5, please, one by one. This is $100 each for blind forefathers. Not 5, one. Why you...
This guy is a dick. He's been yelling at everybody, and that's not in his group. He's just crazy. He's a group leader. Anyways, so in there is...
Last week they closed it 2 hours because one of them broke the oil lamp.
One of them, they were here last week?
Yes.
Those people?
No, other people. Don't care.
Right. I like giving these people a tough time. Oh boy, but you can barely see this little star down there. When she gets out of that little hole, blood out, there it is. Weird. I believe this is where Mary placed Jesus after he was born. It's like a manger or whatever, but it's not here anymore because, you know, it's 2,000 years ago. And it's got this little area back here, and that's about it. That was a pretty big waste of time. Like this guy yelling at everybody, he doesn't work here. He just has a tour guide. Like he's got a group of people from the UK with him, and that's it. He just hollers at everybody. Hollers at these Russians. They don't speak English. Hollers at us. Tells us what to do. I don't know. But there we go. Anyway, that's where Jesus was apparently born. So you just saw where Jesus Christ was born. How do you feel?
I have nothing to say about it, honestly. I mean, I saw a star on the floor in a creepy, sweaty cave with a whole bunch of people yelling and a whole bunch of people upset, and people had waited in a line for an hour and a half, and I really just wanted to turn to everybody and go, this is where you really think it happened? Like, this magical spot was where it happened? I just don't get it. I don't know. A little lost.
This is a church that's attached to the area where Jesus was born. It's like a church on a church and a church with a church wrapped around it. Yada, yada, yada. But anyway, the church itself is kind of cool looking. The ceiling is nice. The stained glass work down there is really cool. And it's not sweaty and hot, and there's nobody yelling at me. So this is an improvement. Here's an interesting note. Like I said, the rafter section inside of the church is all like old, like 150, 200 years old, and it's rotting, and they're worried that it's going to collapse. And that was like as of a year ago, or a year and a half ago that I read that that's how old the documentation I had was. And as you can see inside now, they've got all the construction going on. And there's a sign out here that says that the renovation is being done with a donation from the president of Palestine. So it's an interesting show of goodwill. So this sign, like the church that we were just in, is right here. And this sign is here, and the tourist information is here. But this sign is kind of it's almost propaganda the way it's written, but it's kind of factual at the same time. I mean, some of the things they say are trying to elicit a response, but I mean, some of it's true. It's about the occupation, however you want to say, of Israel. The Israelis have taken over Palestine. And for instance, like this is 1946, green is Palestine, white is Israel, and they're Jewish territory. And as you can see, it starts to flip, and all of a sudden there's very little green and a lot of white. What I find interesting is that like when you go to like places like the Arabian Peninsula and stuff, or like Syria, they like refuse to exist that Israel they refuse to admit that Israel even exists. I mean, I talked to people in Egypt, and they call this area Palestine, like it is not Israel. But on this map in the West Bank, they actually write Israel on it. So it's almost like the people that are actually involved that should be offended are coming to terms, or have come to terms with the fact that, look, Israel exists whether you like it or not. And the people who are on the peripheral and aren't really actually actively involved are the ones that are in denial. It's interesting. So I'm not sure, like this keeps happening to us. We keep running into people that we've seen like a long time ago. Like there was a Japanese guy that I kept seeing in Jordan over and over. And then one of the people that we went to the Dead Sea with, and then we went to, what was the name of that? Jerash?
Yeah.
And we went to Jerash with him the next day, and then we never saw him again. We just ran into him here in Jerusalem, which is in another country. So it's just strange. We keep running into the same people over and over. It's cool to see them though. If you're ever curious to know what a Palestinian license plate looks like, well, there you go. They got these stretched like limousine style taxi cabs here. So I realize that this is only one city in the West Bank, but it's pretty modern. I mean, one area was like a souk, just like you'd expect in any other Arabian country. And the rest of it is, I mean, kind of clean and nice, and I mean, it's a lot nicer than India. I mean, I can tell you that. So it's interesting to see. I mean, you see like nice cars, you see like a Mercedes, and you see like televisions and stuff. It's not like the whole place is super really like impoverished or anything like you might have in your head. I know that sounds really ignorant, but I had no idea what to expect when we came over here, because I mean, it's hard to read through the lines of Western media. So what do you actually get to see? So I'm glad we came just to see at least one little portion of what the West Bank is, even if it's not a representation of the entire place. Okay, so here is a piece of the security wall that separates the West Bank from Israel. And as you can see, we are on the West Bank side, and it is very, very, very vandalized, which is completely okay in my book, because, I mean, the wall is illegal. How can it be illegal to vandalize a wall that's not allowed to be here? And by that, I mean, the UN has deemed this wall can't exist. Like, they're building a prison for the Palestinians. I mean, I know that the situation is really complex, but this wall is bullshit. Like, you can't cage people in like this. This is ridiculous. And so, I mean, you know, if the UN says the wall shouldn't be here, how is it wrong to vandalize a wall that can't be here? But there's some famous artwork on here, and we may not be able to find it because I really don't know where it's at, but we're going to walk along it a bit and see if we can find it. If I can find it, there's going to be more video. But you see things like this, where somebody has painted a zipper with children or people pulling the zipper apart, and it's basically pulling the wall apart. And that is supposedly the ocean, and that's a flag that is similar to places like Jordan and Iraq. So I guess that's a Palestinian flag, perhaps. I'm not 100% certain. But as you can see, it's huge, and I've read in some places it is twice the size of the Berlin Wall, like height-wise. And it's not completed yet, but it's going to be like astronomically long when it's finished. And it's complex the way it goes. It like cuts through people's like farmland and stuff, and cuts them off from the city in other ways. And like they just plow right. They take this road, this giant wall, and just put it through people's land, and with like really no regard. I mean, who cares to them where they put it? Because whatever. And it's really disruptive. It takes up a lot of space, and it is really ugly. And I don't know, the whole thing is just kind of depressing to see that people are trying to build something like this. But let's look and see if we can find any interesting art. And as we come along, this is a Israeli security tower, and as you can see, the camera faces into the West Bank.
So we are walking around the security wall that Israel has put up between them and Palestine. And there's tons of graffiti, but the one thing that I wanted to show is that, as you can see in this corner, the wall goes around like this. On the other side of the building, it goes around further like that. They have built the wall to go around this house. It's very strange, and I mean, I guess I just figured they're putting up a wall, they could demolish a house while they're at it, but instead they built it around it. It's a little strange.
Okay, so this is the Israeli side of the wall, and as you can see, it doesn't have any graffiti on it or anything, and there's no cameras pointing this direction, and the top of the fence is slanted the way, so if you wanted to climb over from here, you could, but it would be a hell of a fall. So it's obvious that the security is for keeping people out of the other side into here, not out of this side into there. And we just went through the inspection, like the security checkpoint, and it really feels like you're cattle or something. Like, you want to explain? Like,
the way that they've built the structure basically feels like it feels messed up to say this, but it feels kind of like concentration camps. Like there's a designated path, and you're not going off the designated path, and
it's kind of confusing.
The way that they've built the structure, you can see out, but you can't go out. Like that kind of feeling. And you basically go in, and they have these like turnstiles that they can turn on and off to let people in or not let people in. So you have to sit there and wait for them to turn on the green light for you to go through the turnstile. And everything just looks highly militarized and just highly secured. It's a little weird.
Yeah, and I mean the turnstiles are like, it's like a revolving door at like the front of a nice like hotel, but it's like bars, like a jail cell. Like that, it functions like a revolving door, but it's like bars. And some people have to scan their hand, like a handprint scan, to get in to this side. But they didn't care with us. We just showed them our American passport and okay, go through. I mean, it was no big deal, but you could tell like for the Palestinians, it's a pain. And I mean, I can imagine like that gets really, the line gets amazingly long sometimes. You can just see the way it's constructed. I bet there's hours wait sometimes for certain times to get across, which is, I don't know, it's weird. It's really strange. So that's an interesting part of this adventure we've been on, that's for sure. I'm not sure on the physical like practicalities. Like if you're a Palestinian and you live in the West Bank and you want to come into Jerusalem, I think you have to have a Jerusalem ID card, and then that gets you into like the city. And I'm not sure if you're allowed to travel throughout Israel once you do that, or if not. I know there's some Palestinians that kind of live in spots all over the country, but it's really confusing to try to figure all this out, like what the actual restrictions on the day-to-day basis for certain people are. But I saw the guy in front of us had a Palestinian ID, like it looks like a passport sort of, and he also had another card that he held up for the lady, and I think that's his Jerusalem ID. But again, I don't know. It's crazy to think that some people, I think, are in the West Bank and they can't get out, like they stuck there. So if they want to leave, I think they can go into Jordan, but I have no idea how difficult that is or what that actually entails. So it's really weird. It's like, it really is like they've built an open air prison. So it's Friday, it's 3 o'clock, so it's on the Via Dolorosa, way more crowded than normal because some friars are going to be doing their Friday 3 p.m. hauling of the cross along the Via Dolorosa. So that's got a whole bunch of people at the side of the road, and I'm just really hungry. I want to go get some food, but I'm stuck in this crowd. So that's a bummer. And I guess a cross is going to come around the corner in a minute. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So the group of people that are hauling the cross along the Via Dolorosa have come in contact with a bunch of massive tour groups, and they're all going the opposite direction of each other. So watching this disaster, I swear. This place is crazy. I just want a shawarma. As a side note, as I'm standing here in this toy store along the Via Dolorosa waiting for them to carry a cross by, and all these tour groups are fighting with the whole situation, and there's people yelling at each other, and the typical thing that's been going on here for us in Jerusalem. You can also buy in this toy store plastic machine guns and stuff, so you know, that's nice to know. So if you're curious as to what they're selling along these oh so holy paths, stuff like this, and of course gummy worms. Look at this mess. I decided to just try to get through, so I just like got right behind some of the local Palestinian youth who were pushing their way through. This is ridiculous. This is need to be happening. And I'm through. So my desire for shawarma has outweighed my desire to see people carrying a cross in a huge crowd, so you're not going to get any footage of it. Bummer. But hey, look at this. Palestinian midget. How often do you see that? I've acquired my shawarma, and now it's been 5 minutes, maybe, since I was through here and that huge crowd was here, and they're gone. So they probably moved their way on down to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and they're doing their thing there. And I hope they take all their fighting and pushing and yelling with them. Let's see if we can find some bananas. So at this hostel we're staying at in Jerusalem, there's this painting on the wall, like we sit here to use the internet. And you have to stare at this painting, and nothing's wrong is really going on. It's just kind of creepy. Like, you got this bear The bear. The bear creeps me out. He looks dead. Like just this circle around the eye really just pushes it over the line. There's this girl like sleeping, and you can see her legs, and it's, I don't know. And then there's this big black blob, and it took me a long time of staring at it to realize, wait, that's a map. Like I know that sounds really dumb, but like this is Egypt and Israel and Jordan and what forth. So, and then like the oceans. And I have no idea what this says, so I should ask somebody. But people that work here are kind of obnoxious, so I don't really want to talk to them. But that's the epic journey of that painting. Okay, so it's Friday and it is in the evening. It is just past 7 o'clock now, and that means it's Sabbath here, and well, everywhere I guess, wherever it's past 7 o'clock. 6:59 it starts, and that means that for the next 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours, but the next day, that it's like the Jewish day of rest. And that means they don't go to work and they don't do anything. They don't like turn on and off light switches or something. I'm not sure how strictly adhered to that is, but I think that's kind of like for the hardcore people, that's actually what they do. So the place to be for this event every week is at the Western Wall, obviously. And so I went down there and it's packed. Like there's tons and tons and tons of people. And I got a little bit of covert video footage, so I'll put that in here. And it is the joyous feeling, like people are like in big groups, like jumping up and down and singing, and they are doing their prayers and stuff like that, but it's not, people aren't fighting and pushing each other around, so it's a little bit different than certain other faiths that I've seen lately. But I mean, on the other hand, a lot of these people are locals, so you know, they all have the same set of like understanding on how people move around and things. And I think that's kind of what makes the Christian stuff difficult. Is it's a lot of people from all over the world you put into one place, and lines don't work the same for everybody, so things just start to get weird. So I mean, I know I make fun of it a lot, but I think that logically that's really part of the reason. But like I said, here they're locals, so it's a lot more peaceful. It seems really joyous. Something that's odd is on the women's side, a lot of people walk out backwards, like facing the wall. They'll walk backwards to get out of the prayer area. And the men, a couple of them do it, but a majority just walk out. So I'm not sure if it's something that's expected of women, or women are just a little bit more adhering to the rules. I don't know exactly what's up. Also, while I was down there, I read some plaques. I actually figured out a little more detail on what the Temple Mount actually is for Jewish people. The rock that's inside of the Dome of the Rock, where Muhammad was supposedly ascended to heaven for Islam, is like the center of the universe, or center of the known world, or whatever for Jewish people. So it's like where Adam came into creation, and where I think Abraham had to give it, like that's where he put his son up for sacrifice or something. Like I don't know the details, but I know that it's something like that. I think it's the same place. So it's like where life begins, or life began, was this one spot. So that's why it's so holy for them. And of course, the Western Wall is a retaining wall of the second temple that was built on this spot because of that. So it's really interesting that like exactly in the same place, Islam and Judaism both have got like this massive, like one of the most religious places, one of the most important places too. Both religions are in the same spot. You gotta wonder like what kind of translation error had to be made on one side or the other to make that spot so important to two different sects of people for two sort of different reasons. Another thing that's interesting about the Western Wall is it was where Muhammad tied his winged horse, I believe, before he passed. But I'm not 100% sure on that. That's just kind of what I put together on reading plaques around here. I am no theology major. But it was pretty interesting to stand and watch and see these people do this. And now I am kind of up in the little corner of the Jewish quarter, and the Western Wall is right there. And you can see the Dome of the Rock right there. Of course, this is the Dome of the Rock signifies where the temple actually would have sat. This area that it is in would have been kind of where the first and second temple for the Jews was built. But I don't have a whole lot else to do, and everything is closed on this side of town, so if I want to do anything at all, I'm going to have to walk into the Muslim quarter. But there's not a whole lot over there open either because it's so late, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll just hang out. Something interesting about like Jerusalem is you hear a lot of American accents on people who look like locals. Like they look like Jewish, like locals, like the beard and the dress and everything, but they are straight up Americans. And it seems like a lot of them are American, like a large percentage of people that I hear talking. Didn't expect that, but I guess America's got a massive population, so clearly there's got to be a lot of Jewish people there, and I guess a lot of Jewish people come to Israel, so you put it all together, it makes sense. To give you an idea of the prices that are just like, I mean, this is stupid. Like, in the old city, I want to get a shawarma sandwich, right? Because, I mean, that's all there is to eat around here. And they want 35 shekels, and I get the exact same thing, a 5-minute walk outside of Damascus Gate. Like, it's 5 minutes from there to where I want to go, as long as there's no processions of people carrying crosses. And it's 5 minutes, and it's 15 shekels. So, like, I mean, they just put you over a barrel in here. So, like, I mean, I guess I'll walk the 5 minutes, whatever. But they just know there's all these tourists, so they can just charge whatever the hell they want. So that's just kind of what I, like, when we say it's like Disneyland in here, that's kind of what we mean. It's like religious Disneyland. Everything's like ridiculously priced, and there's like trinkets and stuff everywhere. Like, I'm just waiting for, like, you know, the Mickey Mouse ears. Like, I mean, somebody's gonna sell like a goofy looking crown of thorns or something. I'm waiting to see something like that. I know it exists in here, I just haven't found it yet. Every single night in Jerusalem, this tractor pulling this big trailer with these guys comes through here, and it's like trash brigade. It cleans up the city because everybody just sort of throws their stuff on the ground. Like, you can see this big pile. Like, they just throw their stuff out there, and then those guys come along and pick it up. Not sure if anybody has to pay a fee or if it's just included with taxes with the government and all that, but it's really nice because if they didn't do it, it would be a complete disaster in here. So we've hit day like 5, maybe 6 in Jerusalem, and we're really bored. Like, our flight leaves on the 22nd. It is the 16th, and like, we really don't have a whole lot to do. There's a million things to see, but not really anything like to do, and that's kind of what we like to do. We like to go do things. So like, to go outside of Jerusalem and go someplace else in the country is possible. You can day trip to almost any point of the country because it's so small and the bus system is so good, but it's really expensive to go anywhere. So I mean, we could spend like $50 or $60 a day per person to just go out to like a national park and go hiking or something. So that's a bit of a bummer, but we might end up doing it, I don't know. And we've heard Tel Aviv isn't all that much more exciting, so we don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time there either. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do, but I'm sure it's gonna have a lot to do with sitting in a lounge and using the internet for a bit, because we have that access for free. Yesterday we went to the Holocaust Museum. What's it called for real? Oh, she's chewing.
Yad Vashem.
Yad Vashem. And it was actually really good. It was laid out relatively well. It was a little crowded, but everything was explained well, and they have, like, as you go through, they've got videos of Holocaust survivors explaining, like, first person what they had gone through and stuff, and it was just like very captivating and really striking to see it. It was my favorite part easily of the whole place. And it wasn't like laid out as a big memorial, which I'm glad about that. I'm glad it was more of a museum, more of like, hey, this is what happened thing, rather than a listing of names constantly over and over. They did have a bit of that, but it wasn't like tacky or obnoxious or anything. So it was a good education and everything in that manner. So it is really nice out. It's like springtime here, so at least it doesn't suck to just wander around the neighborhoods, which is probably what I'm about to go do. So I was talking about the train system that they're installing. These are apparently the cars. Like, it must be pretty close to completion, or at least pieces of it. I know there's gonna be different lines and stuff, but I mean, if they've laid the cars down on the tracks, you think they're getting ready to turn it on pretty quick. So I've just gotten done walking through the core of a Jewish neighborhood in Jerusalem on Sabbath, and it's weird. It's like a ghost town. Like, everything is shut down. There was an ambulance that's parked in the middle of the road with nobody in it, and there's no cars on the streets. There are, all the traffic lights are either just turned off or blinking. All of the ATMs you walk by say out of service. I mean, everything is shut down, like seriously shut down. and I'm kind of on the outskirts of it now. So there are some cars going by a little bit, but like, I mean, the roads are barricaded, like, and there's just people wandering down through the streets, and everybody's in their, like, you know, Saturday best. So they're all dressed up really nicely and probably going to, like, you know, family occasions or synagogue or whatever it is that Jewish people do on this day. And I mean, you kind I looked really strange in this atmosphere because everybody's dressed in, like, you know, their black suits and their hats and everything, and I'm walking along looking like, you know, how I've looked for 14 months. And I mean, people are really, they're either looking at me like completely confused that I'm there, or with a little bit of like disdain. It's hard to tell like if they're upset with my presence or not, or I'm not supposed to be there or something. But I mean, there's no sign or anything. I mean, I'm not doing anything to hurt anybody. So I mean, if they don't want me there, well, then tough, I was there. That's just how it is. But yeah, it's a bit odd. And there's like, I was walking down the sidewalk. This like 10-year-old kid literally crossed the street so he didn't have to come near me, because I mean, I think he was afraid of me. I mean, I guess kind of scary looking at a 10-year-old, I suppose. Okay, so it's the 16th of October, and so we're sitting around, and like the last couple of days we're just like looking at the things that we have left to do in Israel and the amount of time we have, because our flight is booked for the 22nd. We're just like, we have a lot of time to do a whole lot of nothing, because like if we want to do anything outside of Jerusalem, it gets really, really expensive. So like we're just like, what are we gonna do? And we're like envisioning just sitting. We don't even have our private room. We have a dorm, and you have to sit in this like little common area to use the internet. And there's these kids, and they're obnoxious, and it's just boring. And like we've been saying, there's not a lot to do, but there is a lot to see. But we've seen it all. So we were like, well, maybe we can move our flight. So Katie looks on the flight information or whatever, and she ends up calling the airline or the booking company, and they were like, yeah, you can move your flight to the, what date is this?
2 days ago.
To the 18th, which is 2 days from now, and it's in Tel Aviv, and it means it leaves at 5 a.m. So that means that basically like 2 hours ago we decided we're gonna leave tomorrow. So, and by leave I mean go back to the States. So we were able to make this change, and we told them not to email, like the email was supposed to go to Katie's mom because it was originally like done under her account. So we told them not to email them, just email us. So the email only went to us, and we're going to have our friend Jesse pick us up at the airport, and then we'll be able to go down and we'll be able to surprise Katie's parents, because they don't think we're going to be home until Friday, but in fact we'll be home on a Monday. So it'll be pretty cool, and I think Katie's pretty excited. And as long as an email doesn't show up in her mom's email somehow, I don't think they will suspect a thing, so it should be pretty funny. So we will see how it is. And so I mean, we're going home 4 days early, but you know, it's been 400 and some change, so I think we're all right. You have anything?
I'm excited. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I got.
You excited for one more shawarma?
No, I don't want any more shawarma.
You want some more hummus?
No, I don't want any more hummus.
We're a bit tired of Middle Eastern food.
I want mashed potatoes and turkey. That's all I want. Gravy. Don't forget the gravy.
Jerusalem's a bit of like a mixed bag. Like you love it or you hate it, or like me, you love it at nighttime and hate it during the day. It's really a cool city, especially the old city, to walk around during like the night, and it's just quiet and it's amazing looking. And there's no tour groups. And then in the daytime, it's just hectic and obnoxious, and there's tour groups. So if you're going to enjoy the city, it's best to do it, I think, when there's nobody else out. This one's for anybody who has ever worked at Infinity before. They got these in Jerusalem. So this is a big group of Asian people in Israel singing, I'm assuming some sort of religious stuff, but I have no idea why this is happening. I can't even tell what language they're singing. It might be English, I don't know. This lady is real into this. She is getting down. She was doing some spins a minute ago. Let's hope for a spin. Oh, I see a spin coming up. She's getting ready. Here it comes. Here it comes. Are you ready? Are you ready? Come on. There it goes. Oh, there it is. That's the stuff. That's it. Oh, that was good.
They have skunks here. There's a dead one somewhere near us.